And good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to an OCS playoff match. I am Dan Strateglione, also known as DTarTag1. Today I have the honor of streaming Brian Fred versus Sam Tashima in their top 16 match. So, for those who don't know, we have two teammates playing in the top 16. Neither of them picked each other. They were actually the last two players left, so by default they had to face each other. But I do know that Sam and B-Fred most probably did not want to play against each other because they are teammates and really good friends. But sometimes this happens in playoff atmosphere. So again, Brian Fred has decided he's going to start with his Dark Side deck. And then, so that means that Sam is going to go with Light Side. So once we have them in the... Looks like Sam is in the room right now. Don't see the Brian Fred just yet, but he should be there momentarily. Okay. But just to recap what has happened so far in the OCS, we've seen that Casey defeated Wayne in the first round, and then Timo Dussel defeats Pat Johnson as well. Currently being streamed over on the PC channel, we have Steve Salucci versus Brad Kipple. So for those who are tuning into that, make sure you guys jump on over. If you're interested in watching that one, go ahead. But like I said, right now it's going to be Brian Fred versus Sam Tashima. Okay, it looks like B-Fred is ready, so now we're just waiting on Sam to join the game. And then once he does, we'll go ahead and get into it. So just to think of it looks like here we go. So, Brian Fred playing his skillfully designed My Kind of Scum Gammies deck, Gamorrean deck. So we can see that with the objective that he threw out. Yep, there's the Thok and Thug. And Sam is going to go with the clone objective. Okay, was not seeing that. Sam going with the Hunt for the Droid General. So, kind of a surprise there. So, there's the Jabba's Haven from B-Fred. Power of the Hutt. And a Tentacle from Brian. Sam already starts to clone cylinders. Security control, so that way he can pull out his weapons. And there's superficial damage. Again, he can cycle his weapons, good blaster to the side, so that way he can start pinging some damage in. So, apparently I can't talk. Not sure what that means, Brian. You can talk. We like hearing you talk. Okay, we have a grabber. Sam already is going to be able to go get his Boss Nash Chamber with his We Still Got a Grand Army in his hand. So for those in the chat who are already watching the game, go ahead and give me some thoughts on this matchup, because this is definitely one that I haven't really seen. Brian Fred pulls out his secret plans. Sam goes and gets his grabber. Probably going to go see Sam go and get aim high as well. Brian going to use I Never Asked for Anything twice to go ahead and pull a Dryden Boss or First Light. Probably going to go get the First Light here. And Sam, probably not going to see Sam going to space at all this game. I know the general consensus with this clones deck is there's not a really good space package yet for it, even though we have cards like the Endurance and the Resolute. There's Aim High from Sam. And here we go. Brian Fred activates. He's getting 6 icons. Gives him, or he's getting 5 icons. That gives him 6 force to work with. Sam is going to have 7 icons, or he's got 6 icons. Sorry, and 7 force to work with. Let's see what Brian pulls here. Probably going to be the audience chamber. Nope, he pulls the lower passages. So that means he either activated the audience chamber or he drew it into his hand. There's now Hutta from his deck as well. Or no, I'm sorry, now Hutta from his hand. So he started with now Hutta in his hand. That's not a good thing to get because you can pull that card. No audience chamber, but he did start with the passenger deck in his hand, so that's a good card to get. So now Brian probably missing only the audience chamber at this point. Brian already in his move phase, so it looks like he's just going to draw some cards. So yeah, it looks like he activated the audience chamber. That would have been a really good turn for Brian if he would not have activated it. But we see B. Fred drawing some force. So now because he doesn't have an alien at the audience chamber, well, he doesn't have the audience chamber on the table at all, he's not going to be able to utilize the power of the hut to activate a force during Sam's turn. But Brian will save 2 and pass turn over to Sam. But again, B. Fred getting out 6 more icons is a pretty good first turn for him. Sam probably going to download a location as well. Yes, there's the he's going to use the Geonosis Clone Command Center to download either a Camino site or a Clone Army Battleground. Sam hoping to get probably the Camino site so he doesn't give B. Fred any more activation here. Yep, there's just a Camino Clone Birthing Center. It's a 2-0. There's the Boss Nash Chamber as well, so solid first turn for Sam. Okay, big thank you to everybody tuning in today instead of watching football. And Sam goes down with General Kenobi to B. Fred's Jabba's Palace site. Kind of a jerk move because now if B. Fred, if the audience chamber is in his reserve deck, he wouldn't be able to pull it with his site. But Sam is going to take a Clone Trooper into his hand with General Kenobi, and he's going to go get a weapon as well. As he pulls Qui-Gon Jinn's lightsaber. It's the it's the defense, or the destiny value of 1 episode 1 lightsaber. It can go on to a Qui-Gon or an episode 1 Obi-Wan, adds 1 to a Force strain. And then the other big thing is, while at Watto's junkyard, undercover spies here are lost. So, good way of getting rid of U-3PO or Erica, or the lesser-known Kedar the Black. So, solid first turn from Sam, getting out a General Kenobi as well as 2 sites. Brian's getting 12 force. He's going to have 14 force to work with this turn. Sam already threatening a drain of 3. But clearly Brian is probably going to have something to say about that drain of 3. We move into Brian's deploy phase. He's taking his time here, thinking about what he wants to do. So he did draw into the audience chamber last turn. And there's Chow Beacon. Going to go get a non-unique alien from Brian Fred's deck. Now he's going to want to get the... If he gets Scum and Villainy out, all of his aliens will deploy -2 to locations that are adjacent to Chow. So they would deploy -2 to the audience chamber, the palace, and the lower passages. Yep, there's Jabba the Hutt coming down for 3 force. use the audience chamber's text to pull Jabba. That's going to get him scum and villainy. Yep, there it is. Thok and Thug going down to the audience chamber for 3 force. Interesting to see them come down so fast. But more importantly, now that because they are a leader with Brian's objective, they cannot be targeted by any weapon. So Brian's just going to say, you know what, I'm okay with you draining for 3. I don't care. I'm just going to pay the upkeep costs on my Gamorreans, and I'm going to pass turn over to you, Sam. Now, because Brian has aliens at the audience chamber, he can start activating force with Power of the Hut V. Sam, again, is getting 14 force. Wouldn't be surprised to see Brian pull his battle order shield, but he is going to activate a force with Power of the Hut first. See if Brian, yep, he is going to go get a shield, and it is battle order. So now if Sam wants to drain for 3, he's going to have to pay 3 force. I think that's a good trade-off if you're Sam. Yep, Sam will drain, adding 1 with the lightsaber. See, Brian's going to lose here. There goes a Zuckuss, a Mist Hunter, Twilight Advisor, and an Alien Mob off the top. And Sam is now flipped. All he had to do was drain wherever the Grievous effect, Grievous will run and hide, is. And now he is flipped on the 7 side of his objective, wherever he has a Jedi or a Padawan pair of a clone with a Jedi or a Padawan. His force drains are +1, and then he can do kind of cool stuff. Again, don't normally see this clone objective being played, but there's a clone trooper coming down. Again, Sam did pull that last turn with Obi-Wan. Another clone trooper, and again, each of them are coming down for free because because of their game text. Deploys free to the same site as your clone army general, leader, or Padawan. Sam going to go out and get a weapon. Probably going to see him pull a gun, putting on one of the clone troopers. Yep, there's a blaster rifle V. And again, if you're just tuning in, Steve Salucci is playing Brad Kipple right now on the PC channel. I believe they're in Game 1. It is ISB for Brad Kipple and no idea for Steven Salucci. And what looks to be a very interesting match. So it looks like Sam is content with doing what he just did, getting out some clone troopers as well as a blaster rifle V, and he's just drawing a bunch of cards. Going to probably draw up here to at least 14, and then pass turn over to Brian, saving a bunch of force, actually. Again, with those clones coming down for free, and you know what? Sam is just saying, you know what, Brian? If you want to pull your extra shield, you can go right ahead doing that, which means that you would be shield broken. So Sam is just drawing some cards with no regard to the drop defensive shield. Sam draws up to 17, saves 3, and will pass turn over to Brian. Now, I doubt that Brian is going to pay 3 drain for 1 at the audience chamber. As he does skip over his control phase, goes right into his deploy phase. Brian probably going to want to try and flip this turn. That way he can start canceling drains, canceling battle destinies, and doing kind of cool stuff with his objective. But Brian's taking a little bit of time here to think about what he wants to do this turn. So he's going to play Force Push and Pod Racer Collision once per game it's a Lost Interrupt, where he can exchange 2 cards with that are in his hand for 1 card out of his Force pile. So it gets him one more activation at the cost of 2 cards going into his force pile, pulls him a card, but the card does go lost. So Brian thinking about what he wants to take out of his force pile. And he has made his decision. He takes 1 card, putting 2 cards back. As he plays Twilight Advisor V, that's going to allow him to pull an Alien Leader or a Twi'lek down to the audience chamber. As we see Lady Proxima coming down. And she adds a Battle Destiny with which there are 2 other aliens there. And during the control phase, she will allow Brian to look at the top 3 cards of his deck, take an alien into hand, and then reshuffle his deck. There's an alien mob coming down to the Jabba's Palace that restores Brian's game text. But more importantly, with it coming out, that is a non-unique copy of an alien, and now Brian could potentially flip his objective this turn. Brian will not retrieve an Thok and Thug from his lost pile, as there is no Thok and Thug in his lost pile. There's the first light going down to now Hutta. Brian's going to attempt to deploy a Bib, Hut Influence, or Sail Barge, as we see Bib Fortuna going down to the lower passages, canceling Jabba's game text, but more importantly, will now flip B. Fred. Now, for Brian to flip back to his 0 side, he would not have. All Sam would have to do is remove him from 2 battleground sites. Not the easiest thing to do. But again, Sam does have a 17-card hand. He's getting 14 force, in addition to the 3 force that he saved from his last turn. Brian's still thinking about what he wants to do here. Again, he is taking his time a little bit today, and nothing real wrong with that. Now, the question is how did the new allies separate themselves from working with Sam and Brian on this matchup? I know that the new allies have said that they tend to try and differentiate, not share information. So that's a little bit interesting, but I want to see how Brian tested. Did he test for the clone objective? Did Sam put Brian on the Scamorian deck? As we see Chow move over with Bib Fortuna and the alien mob. Brian is going to draw some force. Now, he's going to have to pay 2 if he wants to keep Thok and Thug around, or he would have to lose 1 force to put them back into the deck. And he is going to pay the 2 to keep them around, pay the upkeep costs, and then he can activate 1 on Sam's turn. Excuse me. As we see Brian activate, there's resistance to cap the drain at a drain of 2. This kind of tells me that Brian doesn't have a Thok and Thug, or he simply just wants to save a Thok and Thug for a Battle Destiny. Or he wants to make Sam think he has the Thok and Thug. And there's a drain of 4. It is capped at 2. Brian will lose Hut Influence and a Gick, and this Rebels won't escape us off the top of his deck. And there's the good blaster at your side ping. As we see Brian lose Dengar with Blaster Carbine. Sam with 14 force left, still in his control phase at this point. Now Sam is a little bit in the tank here, thinking about what he wants to do. Again, he's got 14 force to work with and a 17 card hand. Sam does move into his deploy phase here. And here we go. Qui-Gon Jinn, Serene Jedi going down to the lower passages. And he comes down for 6 force. Sam still has 8 left, though. And a Jedi lightsaber from hand goes on to Qui-Gon. Commander Cody coming down as well. Let's see if Sam reinforces with Rex or 2 other clones. As he attempts to pull a gun onto Cody, but unfortunately he misses out of his 9-card reserve deck. And Brian with the second force push and pod racer collision to put an interrupt out of Sam's reserve deck out of play. He can get any interrupt except for Hujix. As a sense goes out of play. Brian putting that Destiny 4 card back into his deck. Tup coming down. Currently Sam outpowers Brian 12-8. And it looks like Sam's just going to pass over to Brian. Not necessarily sure I like that. Again, with Sam having weapons there, Doc and Thug currently not sitting at the lower passages, you would think that Sam could actually do some damage there. As we see Brian drains for 1 at Nal Hutta. But there's a reason why Sam is playing in the OCS Top 16 and I'm sitting at home. Sam loses the assembly area to the drain at Nal Hutta and a Rebel ambush off the top of his reserve deck to the drain at the audience chamber. Brian uses Lady Proxima to look at the top 3 cards of his reserve deck. And it looks like he did hit an alien. The question is which one? And he takes an alien mob into hand. Brian's going to use Fearless and Inventive to retrieve a non-unique species. He's going to take the, looks like he's got an alien mob in there, so yes, he's going to retrieve the alien mob. Now he can put that on the top of his force pile with the alien mob he has the lower passage, and that's what he's going to do. As we see Mara Jade with lightsaber going down to the lower passages. That makes it so that Brian and Sam have the same amount of power. But again, I do think if you're Brian, you want to move Bib Fortuna out of the lower passages and into the audience chamber where he's generally better. And Prince Shizor coming down. He comes down for 2 force because of Child Beacon. So Brian is using every bit of... So again, Margie came down for 3. Shizor came down for 2. So Brian getting all the discounts he wants. Maybe start referring to Brian Fred as Aaron Rodgers, Mr. Discount Double Check. Again, thank you everybody for watching instead of watching football today. And it looks like, okay, so Brian is going to initiate. He's getting a Destiny to Power as well as a Battle Destiny. And he's going to pay 2 to retrieve 2. He's going to retrieve Dengar and a Gik. Let's see what B-Fred does here. Mara Jade's going to swing at Commander Cody. Interesting. Draws a 5 for his first Destiny. It is a Thok and Thug. And he'll draw a 3 for his second Destiny. Now, interesting enough, that would have hit Qui-Gon, but he decided to swing for Commander Cody. Action, unless Brian has another action here. Nope, Sam has an action. It is going to be Odin Nestler and First Aid. So he's now, his forfeit will not be reduced, but he can't be used to satisfy attrition. And on top of that, he is now not able to go lost because of Dr. Evzen and Ponda Baba. But Cody is hit. And again, he does retain his forfeit value. Tup is going to take aim at Bib Fortuna. Smart choice for Sam. Draws a 3. I believe that's going to hit Bib. Now, he is going to be hit and still retain his forfeit value, but again, he's going to be hit. That's the more important thing. Action moves back over to Brian Fred. I'm sorry, he does not get a Destiny to Power. He gets a Destiny to Attrition. Even more reason to swing at Qui-Gon there, because he is fully immune to attrition. Brian thinking about what he wants to do here. Brian passes, and Qui-Gon will swing at Shizor. Draws a 3. So unless Sam does not, if Sam does not draw a 0 here, Shizor will be hit. Yep, he draws a 2. It is Rex. So Prince Shizor will be sliced, diced, and his forfeit will remain, but he will not be able to be used to satisfy attrition. But again, he is hit. Brian draws a 1 for Battle Destiny, and now it is a 2 because Bib and Jabba are both on the table. Sam draws a 4 for his Battle Destiny. Does Brian have? He does have a Thok and Thug, so that's going to cancel it. And now Brian gets a Destiny to Attrition. It is going to be a 5. I'm pretty sure Brian would rather have the 5 for Battle Destiny and the 3 for his Destiny to Attrition. Sam owes Brian 8 in Attrition and 8 in battle damage. Whereas Brian owes Bib Fortuna and a Prince Shizor. Now, more importantly, though, Brian does flip Sam. as we see Bib Fortuna go lost. Jabba so graciously gets his game text back. And Sam will play Fall of the Jedi to take a card out of his use pile. I'm sorry, Fall of a Legend. A Destiny 6 interrupt that the non-V version pulls the Weather Vane. This one will pull a card from your use pile. Sam decides on his card. And again, he's going to owe Commander Cody as well as probably just Tup. Yep, Tup goes to the lost pile. Shizor goes to the lost pile. And Cody will go as well, with Qui-Gon fully immune to attrition. Now, if you notice that Brian put the Grievous will run and hide effect all the way over on Geonosis. As Brian goes to his draw phase and starts drawing cards out of his force pile. And it looks like game 2 of Brad Kipple versus Steven Salucci has started. This one is 0 Hour versus the Endor Operations. Again, Brad won game 1 by 17, so congrats to Brad. Lost piles were 21 to 38 in favor of Brad. Brian does pay the 2 to keep Thok and Thug on the table. As we see him activate 1 on Sam's turn. Sam activates 15. He'll have 17 force to work with this turn. In addition to his 11-card hand, Sam drains for 2 at Tatooine at the Jabba's Palace site. Now again, Sam is not flipped, so it is only technically a drain of 3 that is capped at 2. As we see Brian lose a Skyman Villainy. And the Force Push and Pod Racer Collision. That is his second one that goes to the lost pile. There's the Good Blaster at your side ping. As we see Brian loses Efant Mon off the top of his deck. And Sam will go into his deploy phase, so he'll have 14 force to work with this turn. Sam attempts to pull a sight, but he misses on the pool. Brian gets a free verify to see what those 7 cards are. Sam taking his time a little bit here. He is 2 minutes ahead of Brian on the clock. And here we go. Captain Rex going down into the lower passages. Again, he's got a gun as well. So combine that with Qui-Gon's lightsaber. And Commander Cody coming down. So Sam playing 2 Codys. That's going to allow him to cancel a Battle Destiny. See if Brian has anything to respond with that. No response from Brian, so Sam is going to be able to pull a weapon, put it onto either Cody, Rex, or Qui-Gon, or one of the other 2 clone troopers. And he does miss on the pool, so he knew what was in his deck, but he missed. He decided to go for the gun search, missing on it. Sam still in his deploy phase here. Again, now Sam outpowers Brian 12 to 10. A Greedo here would be pretty good for Brian. It would increase his power by a little bit, but it would also make it so that Sam has to pay one to fire any weapons. As we see, Sam will play Generation 1 Armor Always Holds Up. So for remainder of turn, your clones are armor armor +2, or you can cancel You Are Beaten, or if your clone in battle, cancel an attempt to by opponents target your character to be lost, immune to sense. If you just draw a clone for Destiny, add 1 to the Destiny. So Brian's going to grab that, and Sam does make it so that his clones are armor +2 for this turn. And Sam will initiate. Let's see what Sam is going to do here. Qui-Gon's going to swing at Mara Jade. Draws A6, so Mara's going to be hit. Sam looking like he's going to attempt to knock Brian off of that second battleground site, flipping his objective. And draws a 5. So yeah, Mara Jade is hit. Forfeit still remains, but she cannot be used to satisfy attrition this turn. Brian is going to take a shot with Mara at Cody. Cody is defense value 6 here. Brian draws a 5 for his first weapon Destiny. And a 2. So Mara just barely hit Commander Cody. No, Sam has a Weisa got a Grand Army to subtract 1 from the weapon Destiny, so now Cody will stick around. Rex going to take a shot at Chal Beacon. Draws a 4. Chal with a defense value of 3 and a 4. So 8 minus 3 is 5. That should hit Chal. I'm sorry, 8 minus 2. So his forfeit is reduced by 3. I always get those numbers mixed up and I play WAP. Brian's going to add a second Battle Destiny, so it's going to guarantee he's getting at least 1 Battle Destiny this battle. Sam grabbing the Shattered Hope, even though it is a lost interrupt. Sam will draw a 3 for his Battle Destiny. Does Brian have a Thok and Thug here? He does have the Thok and Thug, so now Brian will still have his second battleground. Brian draws a 5 for his Battle Destiny. Sam Sam cancels it with Commander Cody. Let's see what Brian draws for his next one. And it's a 4. So Brian wins the battle, 14-12. Sam will have to lose at least 1 character from the location. Brian's going to have to lose Mara Jade and Chal. But the alien mob will be able to stick around, thus keeping Brian flipped. There goes Commander Cody down to the lost pile, with Mara and Chal Beacon going down as well. Go into Sam's move phase. Goes into Sam's draw phase, and now he can start putting non-unique clones onto his clone cylinders, but he doesn't have any lost yet. I mean, we've seen those 2 clones sitting at the Jabba's Palace there for most of the game, draining for 2 and causing ping damage with a good blaster at your side. So Sam's just going to draw some cards, increasing his hand size to 12, and passing over to Brian Fred. Brian has 22 cards in his life force, 6 in his hand. Sam with 20 in his life force, but he has 12 in his hand. And again, based on board presence, I'd say right now Sam is ahead. As Brian does not have to pay to drain, as we see a Rebel leadership go to the lost pile. Brian drains for one at the audience chamber, and there goes a clone trooper. Now Sam can start stacking those on in his draw phase. Lady Proxima taking a look at the top 3 cards. Not sure if he pulled one. Brian goes to attempt to retrieve a non-unique alien, like an alien mob from his lost pile. Misses on that. Brian is in his deploy phase now, so let's see what he's going to do. Now, all of his aliens only deploy for -1 because Chow is dead. Ortug going down to the lower passages. Alien mob going all the way over to Geonosis. Now, Ortug makes it so that globally all the Gamorreans deploy -1. Alien mob will place a Thok and Thug into the use pile after the objective. Brian attempts to pull a card with Power of the Hutt, but misses. Sam verifying. Brian will use Twilight Advisor to pull an alien leader. As we see Hondo Anaka going down to the audience chamber. So again, he is the leader, so now while he's with Thok and Thug, he cannot be targeted by weapons. And Gor Koresh going down to the Badlands. Don't see a lot of that card coming out. As Brian goes into his move phase. Probably going to see some of those aliens move around. Yep, Hondo goes over to the lower passages. And Brian draws. Interesting. Sam's shuffling up Sam's reserve deck. Puts a 5 back, essentially. Brian drawing some cards. I think that's all he's going to draw. As we see him recirculate, pay the upkeep cost on Thok and Thug, and then pass over to Sam. Move on over to Sam's turn, number 5. That makes sense, Joe. Thank you for that little bit of a tidbit. Personally speaking, though, whoever played those 2 WAP decks, thank you. I appreciate the fact that you beat down Brian's My Kind of Scum deck. Okay, Sam thinking about what he wants to do here. He's got 11 force to work with 8 force left in his deck. or in his reserve deck. Now, he can still activate as he is still in his activate phase. Nope. So during his activate phase, Sam pulls Don't Do That Again. That's going to allow him to check and see what's in his reserve deck before he finishes activating, if he so chooses. Let's see what Joe had to say in the Slack chat. Yeah, that was something I asked earlier on the stream. I find it interesting that I found it interesting to see if this clone stack was on Brian's radar at all. How they divided up in preparations for this. So if anybody would like to comment on it in the chat, please feel free. We do have a few. Well, we did have a few new allies in the chat. Unfortunately, looks like a lot of them left. Okay, so Sam does ping Brian, as he does not activate anymore. Brian loses Sith Fury. There's a drain of 2 at the audience chamber. There goes a Greedo and a Twilight Advisor off the top. And there's the Battle of Geonosis coming down from Sam's hand. Geonosis on location on table, deploy on table. Once per battle may deploy or move a clone as react to the same location as your Jedi or Padawan. While your clone in battle with a Jedi or Padawan, opponent's total battle destiny is -1. So Anakin Skywalker going down to Geonosis. When they turn Brian Fred's age. Timo Dillon, or Timo Dussel in the chat, asks at what point do the new allies become old allies? They have to get at Brian Fred's age, and because that's pretty old from what I hear, or what I understand. Again, big congrats to Timo for making the top 8. Taking down Pat Johnson in the first round. Coming back after game 1, too. It was Hitko versus Thrawn. Timo lost that game, came back in game 2. And it was a new Walkers versus 0 Hour matchup. So Anakin will battle, takes a shot at the alien mob with the Uncivilized Blaster. Draws a 5 for his destiny. That's going to hit the alien mob. Sam did save 3 force and 6 extra destiny, and Sam has the Sorry About the Mess and Blaster proficiency. So that's going to make the alien mob go lost and thus take away Brian Fred's ability to draw destiny there. Brian Fred, where was your imbalance combo, sir? As we see, Sam draws a 2 for his battle destiny. It was Ayla Secura, who is normally a destiny 1. However, Anakin adds 1. And Sam winning the battle causes Gorkaresh to go lost. And more importantly, Sam now flips. Sam in a really good position to take game 1 here. As we see Sam go into his move phase and into his draw phase, he's going to get a clone onto the clone cylinders now. Yep, there is his first clone. As we see him draw a card or 2, and then passing turn over to Brian. Brian is going to use Jabba's Haven. He's going to retrieve an alien or a independent starship into his hand, and he is going to take an alien. It is Mara Jade with lightsaber. Sam with 9 cards in his lost pile to Brian's 16. Brian activates 13, saving 4. And goes into his control phase, drains for 1 at Now Hutta. There goes an Anakin off the top of the reserve deck for Sam. There's a drain of 1 at the audience chamber. As we see Yoda, Master of the Force. Mara Jade with lightsaber going down to Geonosis in front of Anakin. Dr. Evazan and Pomada Baba joining the fun. As we see Brian initiate. And Sam has the blast deflection to block the shot. And everything is coming up Sam today because, again, with Sam having that 17-card hand earlier in the match, or in this game, it has worked out beautifully for him. As we see Sam take a shot at Mara Jade with lightsaber, it's going to hit her with the Uncivilized Blaster, so she is hit. Again, she will retain her forfeit value, but she's hit. Ryan's still up by 4 in battle, and there's Boba Fett with blaster rifle for the second time today. This time he is a Destiny of 1. That's not going to get rid of Anakin, as Anakin has a immunity to attrition, less than 4. Sam draws a 5 for his battle destiny. Brian with the Thok and Thug to cancel it. Now, Anakin is immune. Brian wins the battle, so the Grievous will run and hide effect is going to go to a battleground location. And it does have to go back over to the Geonosian site. The Badlands of... and there's something. Sam will put the Uncivilized Blaster into his use pile to reduce his battle damage by 3. He still owes Brian 2, and yeah, he's just going to lose 2, keeping Anakin Skywalker on the table. As we see Generous Resilience and a We Still Got a Grand Army both going to the lost pile. Now, interesting situation here if you are Brian Fred. You can either give up the drain at the Badlands, or you can run, or you can just sit there. Brian draws a couple cards, pays for the upkeep cost on Thok and Thug, And we'll pass turn over to Sam. Sam flipping his Clone Trooper. Now the Clone Trooper can come down onto the table. Sam activating 10 Force here. He's going to have 5 left in his reserve deck. Pretty sure he activated down to at least the position where he can get the Uncivilized Blaster out of his deck. Oh, we're going to see Sam activate, and Brian Fred activates 1 with Power of the Hutt. Again, both players are only draining for 2, getting their opponents for 2 force loss. However, Sam is paying 3 to drain for 2, whereas Brian Fred is not paying to drain for his 2. As we see, Sam drains for 2. There goes Utaguta Solo off the top, as well as a Jango Fett. So he loses Utaguta Solo and Jango Fett off the top of his use pile. Brian also is taking damage from a good blaster at your side each turn, as we see a Twi'lek Advisor go to the lost pile. He does not want to lose that card because it is a Destiny 5 and would get rid of Anakin. Go into Sam's deploy phase here. As we see a Clone Trooper come down to the lower passages. And a Jedi Lightsaber going down onto Ponda Baba and Dr. Evazan, reducing their power by 3. So now it's Sam with a power of 6 there to Brian Fred's 3. Sam pulling the Uncivilized Blaster, putting it onto the Clone Trooper. Looks like Sam is going to attempt to try and remove Brian Fred from 2 battleground sites. Yep, Sam pays, or he does not pay to initiate a battle with Anakin. Draws a 5 for his first Destiny. Yep, Ponda Baba's going to be hit. He's going to retain his forfeit value, but he's not going to be able to be lost to attrition. I think Sam is okay with that. Yep, Ponda Baba's hit. Now Sam only has 2 force left. And Sam cancels Ponda Baba's game tax. It gives him his power back, but now he's not able to draw Destiny. So Anakin will probably stick around here. As we see, Sam draws a 5. Now again, it's only going to be Ponda Baba for Brian, but more importantly, Sam flips. As we see, Sam is still in his battle phase here. Brian's going to use Utaguta Solo in Sam's move phase to attempt to pull a non-unique alien of the rep species or Greedo. We see that Brian pulls Alien Mob out of his reserve deck. So Brian is not giving up without a fight. Sam stacking a Clone Trooper onto his clone cylinders. Sam with 15 cards in his life force. Brian with 14. However, as we see, Sam is drawing some cards, but both players are equal hand in life. Both players have 20 cards, hand, and life at this point. And Sam also, Brian Fred now switches positions with Sam on the timer as he's got more time left on his clock than Sam. I doubt this game is going to go to time, though. Excuse me. As we see Brian activate all but 2 of his force. He's going to be able to drain for 1 and 1 this turn. Brian is in his control phase, thinking about what he wants to do. Or his cat is on the keyboard. Brian asking Sam if he can activate 1 less. Sam graciously gives the revert, allowing Brian to activate 1 less. No, Brian says it's fine. As we see, Sam loses a Generation 1 armor, always holds up out of his hand to the drain at now Hutta. Brian drains for 1 at the audience chamber. And as we see him lose a Rebel leadership from his hand as well. Brian's going to attempt to retrieve an alien mob, but he misses on the retrieval. Brian going into the tank here a little bit, thinking in his control phase. Going into his deploy phase now. Alien mob going down in front of Anakin. That's going to allow him to put a Thok and Thug back into his use pile. Dengar with Blaster Carbine going down to Geonosis. And Brian checking out and seeing what his Destiny are here, seeing if he's got a 4 here or something better. And Brian will initiate. He will retrieve 2 with Scum and Villainy. As he retrieves the Dr. Evazan and Ponda Baba. And he's going to put the Dr. Evazan and Ponda Baba on top of his force pile here to give him more activation, essentially. And the Twi'lek Advisor is retrieved as well. And he's trying to do it again with the alien mob. I don't think that's allowed. As we see, Dengar takes a shot at Anakin, draws a 4 for his weapon destiny, so that's going to miss. Sam taking his time thinking about what he wants to do with Anakin here. He's got a few options, actually. And I think, yep, swinging at the alien mob is a good idea. Draws a 4 for his first weapon destiny. Draws a 5 for his other weapon destiny. And Brian draws a 5 for his battle destiny. That is at least going to get rid of Anakin here. Sam draws a 6. Does Brian have a Thok and Thug to cancel it? He does not. So the battle is tied, and because it's a tied battle, Brian only got rid of Anakin, not flipping Sam back. And Sam has the Jedi resilience to take Anakin back. That's true, Nick. Yeah, I think that was the right play by Brian not canceling it. In retrospect, I think Brian was trying. Like, the fact that Sam drew a 5 there was exactly what he needed to stay flipped on the 7 side of his objective. As we see, Sam uses the Bith Shuffle and Desperate Reach to shuffle up Brian's use pile. Brian with 21 in hand and life. Sam down to 18 hand and life. But Sam is potentially doing 3 points of damage with his drains this turn. So there's one in the use pile, there's one on the table, and then there's one on the objective. I think he plays 5 typically. So there's 2 somewhere in the deck or in his hand at this point. So yeah, I think you're right. Brian thinking about his move phase here. Taking a quick break and checking up on our other game. Still looks fairly close. However, it looks like Brad is slightly ahead of Steven Salucci. Steven doesn't have any presence up in space. And while both players are flipped, Brad is doing a decent amount of damage right now. Brian draws 5 cards, saving 2 for the Thok and Thug. Both players will recirculate. There's the upkeep cost on the Thok and Thug. And it will go on to Sam's turn. Sam activating 1 force. We know he has an Anakin in his 6-card hand, so we don't know what the other 5 cards are. Brian stops Sam from activating, so that way he can shuffle up Sam's reserve deck. Sneaky, sneaky there, Brian Fred. Sneaky, sneaky. Sam activating just a couple force. Looks like he's activated 3 in total. Brian Fred also activates 1 using Power of the Hut. Sam is still in his activate phase here. Both players with 12 force in their life force. Okay, so Sam is content with his 6 force that he activated. He's going to cause the pain damage with a good blaster at your side. Brian will lose a Twilight Advisor from his hand. Anakin going down in front of all those 3 aliens at the lower passages. Brian's going to use I've never asked for anything twice to exchange 2 cards with his hand with 1 card in his lost pile. Interesting. Probably going to see him get Greedo here. And the reason he would get the Greedo is it would cause Sam to only be able to fire 1 weapon in this battle if Sam battles. No, he's going to grab a... Okay, he exchanges the Gick and the Twilight Advisor for the Greedo. Yep, he gets Greedo. So while it's not going to cost Sam any force to initiate the battle, it's going to cost him at least 1 force to swing at a character. And funny enough, Ortog has a permanent weapon on him. Well, I think he wanted to save the force for the battle because he had exactly what he needed. And when I say that, so he had the 2 force in the reserve deck for the Jedi lightsaber. He had the 2 force for Rex's weapon, the 1 force for the blaster rifle, and then the 1 force for the Battle Destiny. As we see Sam juggling his weapons around a little bit. Yeah, he could not deploy to Anakin. Yeah. Okay, so Sam does initiate. He is a coward, will proc. So if he just initiated battle, you may peek at the top card of your reserve deck or use pile, take it into hand, or place it on the bottom of the reserve deck. Then, if X is greater than 1, you may retrieve a Clone Army card into hand. And then, if X is greater than 2, your clone may make a regular move using land speed for free to a battle location. So, Sam will retrieve. Now, he would have to pay 1 to retrieve, but he's not going to pay 1. And it looks like our other game is over. I don't want to quote and say who. I believe Brad won, but I could be mistaken. If somebody can check that for me. And there's the Greedo going down. Thank you, Carl. Yep, there's Sam playing Rebel Ambush. So now all of his clones are power +1 and immune to attrition. Funny enough to see both of our light side players, or both players in the Brad versus Steven game, play 0 Hour as their light side deck. And Sam is going to use Captain Rex to fire at Greedo. Interesting. There's quite a mercenary. And Fall of a Legend for 6, so it's going to hit Greedo. And I think Sam's reasoning here is Captain Rex was the only weapon there that actually makes them forfeit minus something. And so if Greedo's forfeit value is reduced by 3, so it is a 1 at this point. He already used Mess at one point in this game. I don't know if he's playing 2. But yeah, if he's playing 2, that would be kind of big. Ortug's going to take a swing with his Gamorrean axe at Rex. There's a 5. That's going to hit Rex. Rex, I believe now, is forfeit value 0. Yeah, Ortug does make his forfeit value 0. So Ortug uses his mighty swing. Sam draws a 5 for his battle destiny. Let's see, does Brian Fred have the Thok and Thug? He does not. As Brian Fred draws a 3, so Sam's going to win the battle. Again, his total battle destiny is less than is 1 less. So now Brian, so there goes Captain Rex to the lost pile. Brian's going to owe 6 into attrition and, or I'm sorry, 5 into attrition and 6 total battle damage. And there goes the alien mob because they cover a lot. All of Sam's cards are immune to attrition, but Greedo will have to go to the lost pile here. Again, both players have the same amount of life force and hand size. As we see, Brian has 12 cards in his life force, Sam has 12 cards in his life force, and then both players have 5 cards in their hand. Yeah, it'd be 2 less force. Brian's going to drain for now at Nalhutta. Brian activates everything. There goes a General Kenobi from Sam's hand. There goes a Clone Trooper off the top of Sam's reserve deck to the drain at the Nalhutta. Brian's going to retrieve the alien mob. Yep, there goes the alien mob back from the lost pile to Brian Fred's deck. As we see an alien mob go to Geonosis. Going to place a Thok and Thug from the objective into Brian's deck. Gor Koresh coming back as well. Also going to Geonosis. Now, I wouldn't be surprised to see Thok and Thug move from the audience chamber at this point. Brian, yep, he does go into his move phase here. And it looks like Brian's just going to move away. Yep, Brian moves everybody from the lower passages to the audience chamber. Interesting. And now he's just going to draw some cards. Sam starts cycling cards as well. Uses Lisa's Got a Grand Army to try and take a Thomba, Boss Nash's Chamber, or Battle Planes from his reserve deck into his hand. I don't know. If you would have been here in Pittsburgh yesterday, Carl, you could have heard some of the ideas that Matt Carulli has. If they let him design those cards, anybody can design any cards. Yeah, I think you're right, Nick. If Sam would have done it the other way, Brian would not have been able to. Yeah. You are 100% correct. And Brian's going to lose a force to put the Thok and Thug back into his deck. And he lost the card from his hand at that point. So now we move into Sam's turn. Sam again has 12 cards in his life force, 3 cards in hand. And Brian still has resistance in effect, so again, all those drains there are just capped at 2. So it's either going to be Sam is going to drain for 4 this turn, or we're going to try and see about what Sam can do about that alien mob and Gorkresh. Sam activates 10, saving 2. Brian activates 1 with Power of the Hut. Sam activates another 1. As we see him drain for 2 at the lower passages. Again, resistance simply just caps at it as a drain of 2. Brian will lose Uta Guta Solo. And Cad Bane from his hand. There's the Blaster Ping. Now, it's a ping of 2 now because an Uncivilized Blaster is on Anakin. There goes Thok and Thug from the reserve deck. This is probably going to be the worst situation for Brian. There goes Forlom as well. And Sam will drain for 2 at the Jabba's Palace. There goes a Gick from hand. And the Twilight Advisor off the top of the reserve deck. So now Sam takes a slight lead as he's got 12 in his life force, 3 in hand. Brian also has 3 in hand, but he's only got 8 in his life force. Sam goes immediately to his draw phase, stacking a clone onto the clone cylinders. So again, now Brian is doing drains of 1, 1, and 2 on his next turn. Sam drawing some cards as well. Down to 9 cards in his life force, 6 in his hand, though. Brian activates everything. Attempts to retrieve a non-unique alien. He does see that there is an alien mob in his reserve deck. Or, I'm sorry, in his lost pile. Now, he uses the 1 force. The alien mob goes to the used pile. However, the alien mob on the table says, you know what? Join us on the force pile. Give Brian some more activation. And continue to help Brian win, if you can. There's a drain of 1 at Nalhutta. There's a drain of 1 at the audience chamber. There goes Blast Deflection and a Battle of Geonosis, both from Sam's hand. There's a drain of 2 at the Badlands, with Sam losing Wisagata Grand Army and a Wisagata Grand Army, 1 from his hand and 1 from his reserve deck. Again, both players only have 3 cards in their hand. Sam is down to 8 in his life force now. But again, Sam can drain for 4 next turn and then do 2 more damage with a good blaster at his side. So let's see what Brian's going to do here. Dr. Evazan and Ponda Baba go down to the Badlands. Might see Brian spread a little bit. Yep, Dr. Evazan and Ponda Baba slide on over to the Clone Command Center. Brian draws a card from his force pile. Sam starting to shuffle up some decks here, or simply just putting some cards back. Brian wishing he would have brought another grabber to the game. Sam flips over his clone trooper that's on those clone cylinders. So now he can deploy it this turn. Activates everything but one. Brian also activates one. Again, Sam doing 2 points of damage with a good blaster at your side. Nope, Sam activates everything. So this tells me that Sam is not going to battle Brian anywhere. And I think if you're Brian Fred, you're kind of happy with that. Sam goes to drain Brian at the Jabba's Palace. Brian has a Thok and Thug, so he cancels that drain, saving him 2 force loss. There's the 2 force ping. As we see Boba Fett with Blaster Rifle and an alien mob go from the top of the reserve deck. So now Brian, again, is going to be able to retrieve that alien mob on his next turn. Probably going to see Sam ping so Sam thinking about what he's going to do here. Yep, he's going to deploy Yoda, Master of the Force, down in front of Dr. Evazan and Ponda Baba. And again, like I said, I think if you're Brian, you're more than happy with that. Sam initiates. And I think it's because, yep, he is. Oh, so he puts a card from the top of his use pile onto his reserve deck because of the objective. If you just initiated a battle, peek at the top card of your reserve deck or use pile, may take it into hand or place it on the bottom of your reserve deck. So amazing play by Sam. That's knowing your objective, people. Sam retrieves Captain Rex into his hand. So he can't. So Brian canceled the drain. Now Brian does win the battle, 11-4. Yoda will cover, but it does flip Sam back. There goes Yoda to the lost pile. Dr. Evazan and Ponda Baba go as well. Sam still does not have any clone troopers in his lost pile, so he does not get to stack another one. And we go on to Brian's turn. Brian going to do 4 strains of 1, 1, and 2 for 4. Sam, again, has 11 cards left, so it's going to bring him down to 7 on his next turn. 7 in hand in life. Brian's sitting at 9 currently. Hand in life. There goes Hujix from Sam's hand. Now it's going to be interesting to see if Sam loses from his reserve deck there. Now I think Sam is going to try and keep at least 1 card in his hand here. As we see Escape Pod and We're Doomed go off the top of the reserve deck, as well as a Rebel Ambush. Sam, it's 6 cards in his life force at this point, so he's not going to be able. He's either going to be able to drain at both locations, and do the ping of 2. Or he's going to deploy. He's going to use that 1 card that's in his hand. Brian goes into his deploy phase. Both players under 13 minutes right now, with Brian under 11. Sam sitting at right around 12 and a half left on his timer. Brian goes into his move phase. And he's going to move the alien mob over to the clone command center. Now we know that Sam has a clone trooper on the clone cylinders. Brian draws a few cards. He's saving 5 force in his life force at this point. So let's see what Sam's going to do on his turn. Sam activates everything, so it looks like he's going to try and drain Brian out. As we see Brian activate a force with Power of the Hut. There's the 2 force loss from the good blaster at your side. Brian loses an alien mob. I believe it is the Rex that he retrieved. Good call. And there goes an RS Sync as well from hand. And what's interesting is, if it was the Rex, he could have deployed him and initiated to get a Destiny at either of those locations on Geonosis. Yep, there's Rex going down. And the Clone Trooper. Now again, that would have given Sam 2 Destiny there. Oh, sorry, that would have given Sam... Yeah, I think it would have given Sam 2. Rex's ability of 3. So yeah, that would have given Sam 2, but he doesn't have the force to do it. As we see, Sam starts sliding some stuff around. Anakin passes the uncivilized blaster to the clone trooper. Yeah. I agree with you, Nick. Because the thing is, I think Brian's going to be able to... Brian should be able to at least retrieve 1, giving him 6 cards in his life force. I mean, he's going to put Sam at under 6 right here. I mean, Brian's not going to be able to initiate a fight with Gor Koresh. That's the one thing. And Sam's under 10 minutes at this point. And Sam's only got 2 force left in his force pile. As Sam is just letting the clock go, and there he goes into his battle phase. Gorkresh is down by 3 in power. Or, I'm sorry, he's down by 4 in power, but he does have a forfeit value of 5. So even if Sam battles here, it would make Gorkresh go lost, and Sam would win the battle, technically. But Sam goes into his move phase. He'll use 1 force. He moves Qui-Gon Jinn into the audience chamber. No clone troopers are in his lost pile. So Sam does block a drain of 1. Sam used about 2 minutes on that last turn. As we go into Brian's activate phase. So Brian is sitting at 4 cards in his force pile, 1 card in his reserve deck. And just for frame of reference, Ortug would deploy deploys -2, so that's a 5, another 1, and another 1, so it's 3. So he comes down for 3 force. So Brian could initiate, but and outpower Sam by a lot. But let's see what he's going to do here. Drains for 1 at Nalhutta. Sam will lose a blaster rifle off the top. Going to drain for 2 at the Geonosis Clone Command Center. As we see Sam lose a Ahsoka Tano and a Quite a Mercenary. Sam down to 3 in his life force at this point. And now B. Fred is in the tank. I think if you're B. Fred, you kind of want to make Sam... You want to defeat Sam this turn because you know Sam is going to at least do 2 points of damage to you on his turn. Okay, so Brian is going to retrieve 1 with Fearless and Inventive. He's getting the alien mob back. And now, again, he can put the alien mob onto the force pile, which he does do. I was going to say, if Brian deploys Thok and Thug off of his objective there, Sam can't swing. Because all of those aliens there are leaders, including the Thok and Thug with the objective. As we see Brian go into the battle phase. So Thok and Thug will not come off the objective. Brian does not battle as he goes into the move phase. And because Sam is doing 2 points of damage for free, essentially, I think, again, Brian, it's got to be tricky. It's going to be a little tricky here for him. Okay, so we see Jabba move over in front of Anakin and the Clone Trooper, leaving Lady Proxima, Ortug, and Hondo Anaka. Nope, Ortug's going to move over as well. So now actually that decreases the damage from the A Good Blaster at your side because Sam does not control that location now. As we see Brian pass turn over to Sam. Sam will be doing at least 1 point of damage for free on his turn. As we do see Sam activate 2 force. Brian activates 1 force with power of the hut. There's the 1 force from the Good Blaster at your side. Brian taking his time, thinking about what he wants to lose here. Brian at almost 5.5 minutes left on his time. Sam down to under 7.5. As we see Ortug go off the top of the reserve deck. Sam goes into his deploy phase. And Civilized Blaster hops back on over to Anakin. It looks like Sam's just drawing up. So yeah, Brian's going to take game 1 by 5. What a game. Well played by both players. Like, extremely well played by both players. So, again, I want to thank everybody for tuning in. I don't believe that they are going to be playing Game 2 today. I do not know when they're going to be playing Game 2. So make sure you guys stay tuned to the PC Twitch channel as well as Twitter and everything else. Brian saying that he won by 2. Sam is correcting him. So Sam, interesting enough, had less cards in his loss pile. So again, make sure you guys stick tuned to the PC Twitter, PC Slack channel, the PC forums accounts, and we'll have game 2 of Brian Fred versus Sam Tashima later on. Thanks for watching. We do have a few games later on today. One at 6 p.m. That is going to be Tom Kelly versus Ryan Jelson, and then we also have Matt Harrison Trainer versus Mike Pistone at 7:30 p.m. Both Game 1 and Game 2 of both of those games will be going on, so make sure you guys tune into those. Until then, everybody take care, enjoy yourselves, and as always, may the Force be with you. Good night.